Dacko and Bokassa in the Central African Republic, 1960 to 1981. In the early 19th century, the area around the Central African Republic was losing about 20,000 people per year because of demand for slaves in Egypt and Brazil. For a while, the area became underpopulated, and when the French took over the area as a colony, they were faced with many obstacles, including famines and various epidemics. In 1949, Barthélemy Boganda established the Movement for the Social Evolution of Black Africa, MESAN, but died in a plane crash in 1959. Thereafter, David Dacko took over the party and ousted the progressive members. He would become president in 1960 and created a one-party state which led to the banning of Abel Goumba's Movement for the Evolution of Central Africa, MEDAC. The government of David Dacko was supported by the French government until 1965, when he gave up his power to Jean Ziambo, who was head of the police at the time. Before he could fully take over, Colonel John Bedell Bokassa staged a coup which led to the killing of Izambo. Bokassa quickly became a despot, imprisoning opponents, looted the country to personally enrich himself and those close to him. In 1972, he declared himself president for life and later emperor. The coronation of Bokassa was funded by the diamond companies and the French. After 1978, citizens began protesting his rule. One of the protests included school children who were being forced to buy and wear uniforms manufactured by a company owned by Bokassa and his wife. Between 50 and 400 students were arrested, 100 of them beaten to death. This became an international scandal that eventually forced him out. The French stopped supporting him and flew in 1,000 troops to reinstate David Dacko. Unfortunately, the French troops stayed in the Central African Republic for another 18 years instead of the 10 years they had promised. 6 of Bokassa's closest allies were tried by the government and executed. In 1981, a new constitution was established which created a multi-party democracy, and elections were held. However, the opposition protested that Dacko won 50.23% of the vote. The opposition riots led by the resignation of David Dacko, who was then succeeded by André Kolingabwa, who suspended the constitution and outlawed multi-party democracy.